Imagine a fleeting moment, just a few seconds, that suddenly captivated millions of eyes. Not because of a major mistake, not because of a scandal, but because of something much more subtle, and that's precisely what made it so compelling. A live New Year's broadcast that should have gone smoothly turned into a hot topic of conversation. It all started when Zhao Jinmai appeared on screen. Calm, elegant, nearly perfect. But on the other side of the screen, something changed, something few would have expected. Song Weilong looked nervous. That moment felt different. The camera captured an unusual expression. Song Weilong's smile was still there, but there was a slight pause before he responded. His movements were slightly stiff, his gaze occasionally averted. Small things that might have gone unnoticed by casual viewers, but not by loyal fans who had known him for a long time. This wasn't their first time appearing together. In the drama Shine on Me, the two were known for their strong, almost flawless, chemistry. They looked comfortable, natural, as if there was no distance between them. Every scene felt alive, making the audience believe in the relationship they were building on screen. But this time, the atmosphere was different. There was no script, no retakes, no director directing, just a live broadcast in real time, with no opportunity to correct mistakes. And that's where things got interesting, because in that uncontrolled space, humanity began to emerge. When Zhao Jinmai walked in with a calm aura, almost like an unexpected gentle breeze, the atmosphere instantly changed. She didn't overdo it. There were no dramatic gestures, but it was her simplicity that captured the attention. She exuded an unadulterated confidence. Song Weilong, who usually seemed relaxed and collected, seemed a little off-kilter. There were pauses in his speech. His hands moved more frequently than usual. Even the way he stood showed a hint of tension, small details that immediately sparked speculation. Was this just the pressure of a live broadcast? Or were there other, more personal factors? Some believed it was simply professionalism. That Song Weilong was working hard to ensure everything was perfect. Live broadcasting is no easy feat. The slightest mistake can go viral in seconds. And perhaps he just wanted to put on a good show. However, others saw it differently. They believed the reaction wasn't simply work pressure. There was something deeper at play, something that couldn't be completely hidden, even by a seasoned actor. The glances that occasionally glanced at Zhao Jinmai, then quickly averted. The smiles that appeared, but felt a little awkward. The way she responded to conversations, as if she were thinking for a longer time than usual. All of these pieces became interesting pieces of the puzzle to analyze. Interestingly, Zhao Jinmai herself remained calm throughout the event. She spoke fluently, smiled confidently, and showed no signs of nervousness. It was as if she were in her comfort zone, unaffected by anything around her. This contrast made the moment even more striking. When one person appears stable and the other shows slight fluctuations, the difference becomes very noticeable. Some fans began to connect this moment to their past interactions. Was something developing behind the scenes? Or was this just an overinterpretation by the audience? In the entertainment world, the line between reality and perception is often blurred. A small expression can be interpreted to mean 1,000 things. And in this case, every detail was analyzed, replayed, and discussed endlessly. However, one thing is certain. This moment reveals another side of Song Weilong. A side rarely seen. A more human side. Because behind the image of a seemingly perfect actor, there's an individual who can also feel nervous, awkward, or even intimidated. And perhaps that's precisely what makes him all the more compelling. Because the slightest cracks in perfection often feel more real than perfection itself. Was this a sign of admiration? Possibly. When someone is around someone they respect or admire, this kind of reaction isn't unusual, even for someone used to being in front of the camera. Or maybe it was just coincidence. A combination of the pressure of a live broadcast, high expectations, and a situation that wasn't entirely under their control. Whatever the reason, this moment captured the attention. Not because of the drama, but because of its honesty. Because in those few seconds, we saw something rarely seen. A spontaneous, uncontrived reaction. And perhaps that's what keeps us talking. Because beneath all the speculation and theories, one simple question remains. What was Song Weilong really feeling at that moment? The answer may never be fully known, but it's precisely that mystery that keeps this story alive, talked about, and interesting to follow. But if we look deeper, that moment wasn't simply about nerves. There were more complex layers of emotion that seemed to be playing behind Song Weilong's expression. It was as if he was trying to keep something hidden, whether it was his feelings, the pressure, or even the expectations he placed on himself. In the fast-paced world of entertainment, every small movement can be scrutinized. Actors are expected to appear confident, stable, and professional in all situations. But live broadcasts are a different space. There are no filters. There are no second chances. And perhaps that's where a person's true side begins to emerge. When someone is used to acting under direction and suddenly has to perform without a script, there's a chance for imbalance. Song Weilong may not have lost control, but it was clear he was putting an extra effort to maintain his composure. And that effort is actually visible. Interestingly, it's moments like these that often make the public feel closer to a public figure. Because behind the fame and perfect image, there's a side everyone can relate to: nervousness, awkwardness, or even unpreparedness in certain situations. Some fans even consider these moments sweet. Not because there's anything certain, but because of the implied possibilities. Interactions that aren't entirely clear are often more compelling than those that are. The public's imagination fills in the gaps. On the other hand, there are also those who try to see things rationally. That what they saw was just a normal reaction in a work situation. That not everything has to be linked to emotions or personal relationships. Sometimes people just react. Still, it's hard to ignore how that brief moment left such a powerful impression. Even after the broadcast ended, the clip continued to circulate, be analyzed, and be discussed across various platforms. It was as if there was something unfinished about that moment. Something that made people want to keep coming back and watching it again, trying to catch details they might have missed. Because the more you pay attention, the more you sense that there's a hidden story within. And in the end, perhaps it wasn't about whether Song Weilong was truly nervous about Zhao Jinmai, but about how one simple moment can open up so many interpretations, emotions, and curiosity, reminding us that even in a scripted world, even the smallest bit of honesty can still capture attention. Over time, the moment slowly transformed from a mere broadcast snippet into a symbol of how the unplanned can feel most real. There was no dramatic dialogue, no confession, but that's precisely why people kept talking. The small silences between words often speak louder than long conversations. There's a certain allure when someone who usually seems so controlled suddenly reveals a small crack in their demeanor. Not as a weakness, but as a reminder that behind all the accomplishments and the spotlight, there's still human beings with unpredictable reactions. And perhaps that's why the public hasn't quickly forgotten the moment. Because it felt honest, unpolished, not staged to look perfect. A small fragment that illustrates that even in the controlled world of entertainment, spontaneity still has its place. In the end, whether it was nervousness, awe, or simply the pressure of the situation, it may no longer be what matters most. What remains is the impression that in those few seconds, something felt different and powerful enough to make people remember it forever.